Couples sometimes do the silliest things together and often have certain fantasies and fetishes, which they explore to try to keep their marriages alive. Today, we look at the story of a couple whose fetish led to the gruesome murder of an innocent woman. Welcome to YARO Crime. Today, we'll be looking at the case of Melissa Jenkins. Before we continue, make sure to like our video and subscribe to stay up to date with our latest videos. Now sit back as we look at the story of Melissa Jenkins, whose friends became her killers. 33-year-old Melissa Jenkins was the single mother of a 2-year-old son. Melissa was a science teacher and basketball coach, and was very popular among the students at Johnsbury Academy in Vermont, where she worked. Described as a warm, loving, and kind person by most people, she was also said to have been a loving mother who worked 2 jobs to support her child. Aside from being a teacher and basketball coach at Johnsbury Academy in Vermont, Melissa was also a waitress at a local restaurant, and nobody had anything bad to say about her. This was part of the reason her disappearance came as a surprise to most people. The nightmare of Melissa's disappearance started on the 25th of March 2012, when the police received a 911 call from her ex-boyfriend, who claimed to have gotten a distress call from Melissa about something relating to car trouble. He then went out to look for her because she wasn't answering her phone, and later disclosed that she sounded weird on the phone. During his search for Melissa, he spotted her car on Hollow Road, which was a dirt dark road near her home, with the engine still running and her 2-year-old son in the back seat of the car. The police later arrived at the scene, and her son was taken to stay with a family friend. A scan of the scene revealed signs of an obvious struggle around the car. A baseball cap was also found, as well as footprints and tire marks. The tire marks were discovered to have come from another car, and it was obvious that the car had sped off. Her cell phone was found smashed and was collected as evidence. At this point, it had already become very late. The police decided to search around the dark road, but couldn't find any other evidence. As the investigation began, the first suspect was Melissa's ex-boyfriend. This was no surprise, as the spouse or boyfriend is always the prime suspect, combined with the fact that he was first on the scene. Melissa's brother had also told the police that the ex-boyfriend always wanted a more serious relationship than Melissa did, but the ex claimed to have been fine with just being friends. His boots were later collected and tested against the prints found at the crime scene, but they did not match. A day after the incident, an investigator who was a specialist in conducting child interviews was brought in to have a talk with Melissa's 2-year-old son. During her session with the boy, he revealed that his mother had been attacked and taken by 2 people. He couldn't really give up much detail as he was only 2 years old. The next suspect that the police focused on was the father of Melissa's 2-year-old son. But he was quickly ruled out, as he had been working in Burlington, Vermont, which was about 80 miles from St. Johnsbury, when the incident occurred. The police later went over to Melissa's residence to do some investigations and try to get some information about the people in Melissa's life. Upon their arrival, a business card belonging to a couple named Alan and Patricia Prue was discovered. The couple owned a snow removal business in Waterford, Vermont. The police couldn't really tell if the information was relevant at that time, but they took the card along with other papers. Though the police had a quiet but strong feeling that Melissa was dead, they hoped for a different outcome. They then decided to search for places where a person could conceal a dead body. Though the police knew there was a boat launched just 10 miles outside of the town, they didn't think they would find anything out there. But someone later noticed something weird sticking out of the water. It was confirmed to be Melissa's body. This was just a day after her disappearance. Her body was retrieved from the water by a scuba team. Her body was found in the shallow portion of the river. The water was said to have been very cold. Her body was found nude with several bruises and tied with cinder rope and blocks. Her body was said to have been covered with branches, which was probably an attempt to conceal the body. An autopsy revealed that her cause of death was manual strangulation, and the injuries on her body were inflicted by a stun gun. The crime seemed like a personal one, and it came as a surprise to the police, as Melissa was so lovely and had no known enemies. Phone records were later retrieved from Melissa's cell phone, and it was discovered that on the day she went missing, just before her ex-boyfriend had called, she had received a phone call from a burner phone. The burner was traced to a store in New Hampshire. It was also discovered that the burner pings off cell towers near the river, where she was discovered, and the abduction site. The police decided to check the store out. Upon their arrival, they discovered that the phone had been paid for with a check written by Patricia Prue, which was the name on the business card earlier found at Melissa's residence. The police had already decided to have a talk with Alan and Patricia Prue, but the couple had found their way to the police station before the police even tried to reach out to them. They were both then interviewed by the police. Patricia claimed that she had come to the police station because someone had stolen her identity, and she had strong suspicions that it was her ex-husband. When they were asked about Melissa, they told the police that they knew her because they helped remove snow from her house the year before, but had not seen her since. Meanwhile, the couple was said to have been friends of Melissa and had plied her driveway a couple of times the previous winter. Friends and family of Melissa confirmed that this was true. Melissa was said to have ended their friendship because Alan was always acting weirdly towards her. The police then asked where the couple were on the 25th of March, the night Melissa disappeared, and the couple claimed to have been running errands at Littleton and went through YARO for dinner, then later went to bed. The pair then left the police station, but what they didn't know was that they were put under surveillance. The police later recovered surveillance footage from the store where they had gotten the burner phones. The footage showed the couple looking for trap phones before picking one out. They also received footage from the drive-through dinner that revealed Alan wearing the baseball hat, which was found close to Melissa's car. The couple was then called back for questioning, but this time they were interviewed separately. During the interviews, Patricia denied everything, but Alan couldn't hold his own. Alan disclosed to the police that his wife, Patricia, was bisexual, and the pair had engaged in consensual threesomes multiple times. Alan said that when they met the victim, they knew she was perfect. He said he and his wife had been searching for someone to play with, but too soon became obsessed with the victim. They then devised a plan to get Melissa to have relations with them. At night, Patricia called Melissa, but when she arrived to help, Alan then strangled her. She had struggled and resisted a lot, probably because her son was in the car, and they had no idea at that time. Alan eventually overpowered the victim, and they dragged her to their car, where Patricia finished off what Alan had started. The pair then drove home, so Alan could pick up a block of cement. They then drove to the river, stripped the victim naked, wrapped her up with tarpaulin, and poured bleach over her to cover their fingerprints. Alan then tied the rope to the block of cement and her body, covered her with branches, and the pair went home. When the police asked Alan why he killed Melissa, he said he didn't, and that he wasn't feeling like himself that night. The two were then arrested and charged with first-degree murder, conspiracy to commit murder, and first-degree kidnapping. During the course of the entire trial, Alan and his mom blamed the entire incident on Patricia. He claimed that the only crime he was guilty of was bringing Patricia to Vermont, and he was sorry for that. Alan was sentenced to 50 years for murder, 5 years for conspiracy to commit murder, and life for attempted kidnapping, while Patricia, who had pleaded guilty to all the charges, was sentenced to life without the possibility of parole. Melissa was described as a lovely human being and a wonderful mother to her son. She had no enemies and everyone loved her. It is quite sad that her life had to be taken so swiftly and brutally. She truly did not deserve anything that happened to her. Thanks for watching. Please let us know what you think in the comment section. Please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. We'll see you in the next video.